Hello, hello, and welcome back to yet another video. Um, Here near the top of my pyramid of films that I watched in 2025, we have a pair of films that I'm calling Heart and Soul. So, quite a different tone, I think, to the previous two. I've grouped these together because, again, I just think they're both so full of heart and soul that they just, they just make me feel a little bit more complete having seen them. So, first up here we've got Good Will Hunting from 1997. So this is a film I watched for the very first time last year, so it's very, very exciting. I think again this was actually also part of my train ride. I might be wrong on that, but I think I watched this in offline mode on my phone on a long train ride. So that was again a different way to kind of appreciate the film. Um, this is a film again I've seen it for the first time. So directed by Gus Van Sant, written by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, starring Robin Williams, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, according to Wikipedia, with music by Danny Elfman, on a budget of 10 to 16 million in 1997. This film, possibly the highest rated film on my entire list here. Both of these films, in fact, very, very highly rated. So we've got Good Will Hunting coming in here with a letterbox of 4.4, probably the highest rated film on my entire movie watching last year. Rotten Tomato critics at 97%, Rotten Tomato users at 94%, IMDb rating of 8.3 out of 10. So yeah, extremely high rating. The second film in this video we're going to be touching on is WALL-E. So yes, Pixar's very own WALL-E, directed by Andrew Stanton. We've got a letterbox rating just slightly below Good Will Hunting of 4.2. Rotten Tomato critics of 95%, Rotten Tomato users at 90%, and an IMDb of 8.4, just slightly ahead. So yeah, two films very much full of heart and soul. So diving back to Good Will Hunting, the cast here. I mean, Robin Williams, he's certainly had an impact on me. I must admit, I've not seen all of his works over the years. I remember things like Jumanji and Flubber. When I think Robin Williams, I immediately think Flubber and Jumanji, and I've probably not seen them since I was young. So not seen them for a very long time. And yeah, I'm aware that he's also put in a lot of other good performances that I've not got to. But in this, I thought he was brilliant as the therapist and professor, as sort of a therapist for Will Hunting, the character by Matt Damon, who plays a 20-year-old self-taught mathematics genius and janitor. And then we've got Ben Affleck playing as Will, or Matt Damon's friend, construction worker. Stellan Skarsgård also in here as another professor. And then we've got Minnie Driver in here as Will's love interest. So it's just, I think, just so full of heart, and it's a journey of self-discovery. Very much a film that is really all about the human performances. It's such a humane film that that really warmed me. And I think, as I've always been fond of Matt Damon, um, probably starting around the Bourne time, but to see him in here in a 1997 film, in sort of an American drama film of him as a very young Matt Damon at this point. I mean, 1997, we're talking 29 years ago, so the guy would have been, yeah, around sort of 26 at the time of filming, or the time of release. And I just enjoy Matt Damon in basically everything he's in. I've always enjoyed Robin Williams in everything that he's in, and it's it's so hard to kind of. I find it a little bit harder to sell films that aren't maybe sort of super larger than life, but this is one of those films that, yeah, maybe I've not got around to it over the years because I've maybe looked at the front cover, and it's just sort of, you've got the guy, Matt Damon and Robin Williams in character just sitting there, without me kind of maybe being drawn into sci-fi or fantasy aspects of the film. I'm trying to get more into drama. I'm trying to get more into these kind of films that are really just about human, the human journey. And I just think it's just such a wonderful film that by the end I was so glad I'd watched it. Um, yeah, I kind of don't want to spoil it. That's the other thing as well. Like I find myself obviously in these videos skirting around certain things, but again, for a first time watch, I'm so glad I made the time for this. I don't know what it was in the end that propelled me to make the time to watch it, but I'm so glad I did. Um, yeah, excellent performances in there from Matt Damon and Robin Williams. Huge, huge thumbs up for Good Will Hunting, that I certainly look forward to watching again in the future. So the other one in this video is WALL-E. Yes, WALL-E of Pixar fame. 2008 film, directed by Andrew Stanton, classed as an animated romantic science fiction film. So there's so many aspects of this film that I'd completely underestimated based on. So I did a rewatch around, it might have been around 24, and that would have been my first watch at that point, potentially since 2008. Like, I'm not sure how often I'd watched it between 08 and 24, but after doing another rewatch again last year, it just kind of cemented it as one of my favourite Pixar films, one of my favourite animated films, and just generally like one of my favourite films. I think WALL-E is so lovable, so unequivocally lovable that it's hard not to root for the guy, you know. But something I was looking to do with a rewatch is not just appreciate, the journey that WALL-E goes on, but sort of the setting and the overall kind of theme and messages of the film. Kind of fascinating that this film is set not just in the future, but set so far into the future, at least in terms of this millennium. So it's set in the year 2805, where essentially, we've been overrun by rubbish and WALL-E's been left to clean up. It was interesting researching into this film, learning that the idea for the film, in fact, went all the way back there to sort of the mid-90s, with Andrew Stanton kind of coming up with the ideas early on, with some of the other Pixar original sort of proprietors. But it's just hard not to love this film. I think as well, because it blends sci-fi with the sense of humanity on Earth. I think it just does a wonderful job. I think it's just a wonderful film, and that opening half an hour, I don't think there's a word spoken for like the opening half an hour, and so it's another reason I'd probably say I enjoy it, is because it is a film really where you have to kind of watch it, in my opinion. I think the lack of dialogue, especially in that opening half an hour, means you have to kind of watch what's going on, which I appreciate. Yeah, there's so many good Pixar films. I mean, I'm not here to sort of say it's the best Pixar film. It's just certainly one of my favourites, and I think it's the only one I ended up rewatching last year. Certainly a lot more on my list that I'd like to get to at some point as well in terms of rewatching. Yeah, WALL-E's just wonderful. As soon as they get into space as well, seeing Pixar's kind of version of sci-fi as well, and future Earth and future kind of humans, how humans would be interacting several hundred years from now. I think it's wonderful. I think the whole production is wonderful, and I'm very glad that the people of Letterboxd and Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb, broadly speaking, agree with me, because I think this is an absolutely stunning film, and if you've not seen it, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. So that is, generally speaking, it for this film. Another thing that I'll just touch on, so we got some awards for these films. WALL-E won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature and was nominated for Best Original Screenplay, Original Score, Original Song, Sound Editing and Sound Mixing. So I'm glad the Academy Awards appreciated WALL-E as well. Good Will Hunting and its cast and crew won Best Original Screenplay for Affleck and Damon, Best Supporting Actor for Williams, and received nominations for Best Actor for Damon, Best Director for Van Sant, Best Film Editing for Scalia, and Best Original Dramatic Score for Elfman. Best Original Song, and Best Picture, Best Supporting Actress. I mean, there's just awards flooding Good Will Hunting there. It really is. Both of these films, just absolutely across the board, kind of, there's like a general consensus across the board here that both WALL-E and Good Will Hunting are absolutely exceptional films, and I certainly feel very fortunate to have watched them both last year again, and yeah, for the first time with Good Will Hunting. So I'm looking forward to more new experiences like that, and yeah, just glad to have made the time here to highlight how good they are, because I highly recommend the both of them. So with that being said, I think I can wrap this video up here. More episodes to come, so thank you very much for listening, watching, second screening, and I hope to ramble a bit more on some future videos here. So thank you very much, and farewell.